I'm Okiri Agbosuremi. I want to welcome you to another edition of Public Conscience. And good to be back after a break, taking time off last week. The anti-corruption trail is still on, and we cherish the feedback we are getting from our social media platforms. Of course, we have a lot of responses from you through the various platforms that we have at official PRIMORG, and the telephone numbers that we have given to you. We have also been getting information from our Facebook platforms where people watch our videos, and on our YouTube where people also watch. Our YouTube channel is PRIMORG TV. Now, my co-presenter today is Adaobi Obiabumo. Chukwudi Okolo-Ogbaja is unavoidably absent. Welcome, Adaobi.
You're welcome to Public Conscience.
We are shifting gear on the program today. Of course, if you get to hear our promo, we say that apart from those who are immersed in corruption, apart from the bad story, the bad side of corruption, there's a flip side of those who are doing wonderfully well. Just as we take up anti-corruption cases, we would bring you instances of Nigerians who have shunned corruption and decided that they will be men and women of integrity.
Oh, our guest today wears the integrity cap solidly. And if you consider that he is at the helm of one of Nigeria's very important agencies, you would appreciate his choosing to be a very good Nigerian.
Listeners on radio and viewers on YouTube and other platforms, we are going to welcome you to an integrity edition that showcases the Statistician General of Nigeria. He heads the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS), and the figures his office churns out are relevant for national development. Dr. Yemi Kale, you are welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
We just quickly want to let you know, give you a quick background so that you know who we are talking about. Dr. Yemi Kale is a first-class graduate of economics taken from Addis Ababa University. He ultimately took a PhD in economics given by the London School of Economics and Political Science. Under his leadership at the NBS, that is the National Bureau of Statistics, Nigeria's GTB was recalculated and declared the largest GTB in Africa. Dr. Kale has so many firsts. So let's just go into the interview by asking how he saw his appointments as Nigeria's Statistician General way back in 2011. How did you see that appointment?
Well, it came to me as a shock. It's not something that I was expecting. It's not something that I actually looked for. So I was in fact, my initial reaction was, I don't think I can do this job. It's a bit too huge.
Did you lobby for the job?
No, I did not lobby for the job, and I did not even want the job, and I actually almost rejected it. But I had a lot of people around me that believed in me, that kept telling me that they believe I can do the job, and based on their confidence in me, people I'd worked with before, family and friends, and based on their confidence in me, I said, I decided to go for it.
In hindsight now, because appointments in Nigeria are always coming by recommendations and lobbies. People lobby, they want to be this, they want to be that. From what you can see now since you have been in office, what actually transpired before you were nominated for that job?
I just sat down in my office working, and I got a phone call saying, congratulations, you are I was working as an advisor to the Minister of Budget. There was now Minister of Budget and Planning, then National Planning Commission. And there was a spot vacant at the National Bureau of Statistics. It had been vacant for about 8 months. I didn't even know what transpired, but I was just told, like I said, by the minister, congratulations, the president has appointed you Statistician General, and I was a bit surprised. He's the one I first said, look, I don't think I can do this job. It's too hectic. And he says, no, he has a lot of confidence in me. I've been working with him for 5 years, so he believes I can do this job. And after that, I didn't ask for it. I didn't think I could do it. But I went ahead, and I like challenges, and it looked extremely challenging. So that's why eventually I said, okay, let me go and see if I can actually do this work. I
want to let you know that you should get ready with your phones, because we're not going to take all the talks. We want you to be part of the program as usual. Public Conscience is one that creates opportunity for Nigerians to interact with those who are fighting corruption and those who are themselves adjudged to have a very high level of integrity. How has it been with somebody who is working in an office and everybody in Nigeria believes that the work is being done very well. How has he managed the pressure? How has he been able to stay afloat? And with the pressure from politicians, from the state government, those figures that are coming out from his office that are very negative, how is he heading on, handling them, and how is he able to stand? Those are some of the questions. You can also be part of the program. Ask your questions. Let us know what you feel about corruption and how to fight it. If you are also inspired by him, let us know. Adaobi, you have a question.
Our anti-corruption partners, Accountability Lab, has picked you as a Nigerian to be emulated because of your anti-corruption stance. Can you recall one particular memorable instance when you had to say no to greed and graft or temptation from high places?
Well, firstly is to appreciate the commendations from the Accountability Lab. And to say that when you said, can I find one example, like 15, it went into my head.
Please, you can take as many as possible.
Stick to
because it will serve us to get the
I think even the job description, it's extremely sensitive. People say that the seat is extremely hot. My job description is basically to tell Nigerians what the situation is on ground, and that situation might not sit well to the same people that appointed you, or people extremely powerful that might have influence on the people that appointed you. It's extremely difficult to do. Anytime any data is negative, nobody wants to hear that, whether it's at the state level or nobody wants to hear that. You don't expect a minister, for example, I'm just giving an example here of, say, health, to hear lots of health indicators that are horrible.
Like the one you released the last time.
Well, and he'll be excited about it because I'm basically telling the president he's not working. That's the way he will see it. But our job description is basically saying, this is what the problem is. You need to fix it. You have to understand what the problem is. A recent study that was done was based on the results would depend on whether or not there was a UN grant. It's called the Smart Nutrition Survey. And the UN gives money to states based on if their indicators are improving. So you only get an indicator if the last time you collected money, it showed an improvement in your indicator. Now, a lot of states, and we are the ones conducting the work. So we finished the work, and several states, including mine, by the way, Ogun State, actually dipped. And we report it that way. So you can imagine there's a lot of money on the table. So, look, we are losing X billion naira for these indicators being negative. Is there anything you can do to make them nicer? And so that we get...
Were you actually directly approached?
Oh, yes. Well, directly initially. I'm notoriously stubborn. I think a lot of people know that. So they won't approach me directly initially.
Okay.
They'll go through some
close friends,
intermediaries.
But the promises of money, if you need some money. I
don't think it got to the point where they said promises of money, but I think it was implied. You'll be well taken care of. I think
we understand that.
I think I understood that as well. I said, look, we don't do this here. We don't change data, regardless of how well I'll be taking. And yes, I have bills to pay, but not at the expense of the figures that are important to improve the well-being of Nigerians. It doesn't work that way. I don't think my conscience will allow me to do such a thing. And of course, once that doesn't work, the next approach is to attack the integrity of that. So first thing that works. Second one is, this data is fake. My political enemies
have paid
to embarrass me, and you get all that pressure. But we just look away and say, well, this we'll defend it and stand by our figures, and that's the end of it. And as a result, they didn't get the money. A lot of states didn't get the money, and of course, you can imagine that they were not. So there are many instances like that.
Now, let's also take. You have also got to release some unemployment figures.
Yes.
Definitely, the federal government wouldn't be also happy about that. You also get some pressure from friends who say, look, are you sure what you are doing is not going to jeopardize this or that, or even from government directly?
Well, I've been on this job for 7 years, and so as not to pinpoint any particular administration, I've been on the job across 2 different administrations. So yes, I will not mention which administration I'm talking about. Yeah. Every now and then I get such pressure. You get a phone call, for example, by someone that will say, we just saw your latest figures. Okay, thank you, Honorable Minister, or whoever the person is. I was hoping that the numbers would be better than this, maybe something like this. Then there'll be a pause on the phone call for a few seconds, and I will not see anything either. Then after 10 seconds, he said, "Thank you, Eja. Thank you, Honorable Minister," and the conversation ends. But I think I understand what the message. Maybe I was supposed to respond, "Okay, let me go and look at it again. I'll get back to you." And then, of course, so I just say, "Oh, okay, well," and I don't say anything. And so you get that indirect. Like I said, initially it was a lot harder because we are not used to
people standing their feet.
Yes. Yeah. But over time, I think I have a reputation that I don't even bother to talk to this guy about this. He's not going to do it. And people, because of that, it's more of an irritation and more of an irritant as opposed to people calling me, telling me to change. Currently, nobody calls me to tell me to change any data. The worst they will say is they don't agree with data. You are allowed not to agree with it, or we don't accept it. That's up to you. You don't have to accept what our data stands. Even heading towards the election, you're talking about, I actually got a couple of death threats. Text messages. People were upset.
People actually sent death threats.
Text messages. Initially, I was going to react to it, and I just said, "No, I'll just ignore and watch my back a little bit better." But you get all that. I've gotten governors in the past call me extremely upset that there's an election coming. How can you put up these numbers? Look, if I lose this election, you better leave this country. That's actually happened a couple of times. Fortunately, he won the election, so I didn't have to leave the country. But you have those kind of things. You get.
Now, is there moments where you were scared?
Every single moment, I'm scared. I mean, you don't. The insistence that no, this thing has to be done right, always over is more important to me than the fear. I have friends that actually care for me, that actually called and says, "Look, I'm in a meeting where I heard people talking about you really angrily, really badly. That why don't you just step this thing down?" Not because they are trying, just because they are concerned about my well-being. And I of course, I'll be scared because that way everybody's worried. And I'll just close my eyes and say, "Well,
you've got to do your job."
I have to do my job. It's not. I would try and be diplomatic about it. Look, I'm not trying to embarrass anybody or upset anybody, but this is the work. And what do you want me to do? You gave me this work to do. I have to do it properly. And I'm lucky because I have. For my current minister, my last two ministers have been extremely supportive. My current minister, Senator Odoma, actually, when there's pressure, actually stands behind the office. He would tell them, in one particular meeting, he actually told them, while we are attacking this man, the reason why the numbers are this bad is because we're not doing our jobs. Let's do our jobs properly so that the numbers he publishes. So he stood by the office. So when you get that kind of support, it also helps in pushing past the fear and the discomfort to just ensure focus and do what you're supposed to do.
Dr. Kale, you're in a position to tell us how corruption manifests itself in Nigeria. Besides that, what are the tools for fighting it from the individual integrity perspective?
Well, I'm not sure I'm in the correct position to tell you how corruption manifests itself. I think we have the corruption agencies whose jobs are to do exactly that. We did a recent corruption study that tried to explain how the corruption is done and by who, and basically by taking the public's perception of corruption with various government agencies and even the private sector. And you can see most of the time is usually because Nigerians want to, the mindset that you need to pay a bribe, for example, just to get ahead. You want things done for you. And if you are sure that things will be done for you without having to pay a bribe, you probably would not. But it has become so normal that we feel, look, the only way I'm going to get a job is if I give somebody some money or if I know somebody. It's become part of our culture. Sometimes people have told me that they are stopped by police on the road, and the only reason they give money is because they are rushing off somewhere important. So this 50 naira or 100 naira, whatever it is just not worth the harassment. Even though they have all their papers intact, everything's intact, they would just rather just pay them and just get on with it because they can be frustrated. Now, if you stand your ground, you'll probably be harassed. You might miss out on something you want to do. So people are doing this thing because they believe that's the only way to get ahead. You want to go and get a document, maybe a driver's license. I'm giving an example. Yeah. You feel the only way you get it faster is if you do this.
The public themselves actually have this perception that unless they give something,
that's the way I see it.
Unless they give something, the officials will not. Are they not reacting to the entrenched system that is on ground that unless you actually do something? I mean, can they be wrong Can everybody in Nigeria be wrong that unless you get to an office and pays, your file will not move?
I think that's the general perception. That's why when, for example, when we publish data that is not favorable to a particular governor, his first reaction will be they must have paid you. He cannot see any other reason why you would do this. It can't be I'm doing it because that's the right thing to do. Nobody believes that. In fact, at one point when people do the right thing without asking money, our natural instinct to give him a tip because we believe this man didn't ask me for anything.
Yes,
and he did
I hope he's doing it
because we are suspicious. How come he just did this without collecting anything? Yeah. So, are you sure you're okay? Is there anything I can do for you? Give me your number. You just feel there's a need to do something back in return. Meanwhile, the person is just doing his job. It's not meant. So that mindset, I think, has developed over the years, and that's Nigerians are responding and reacting to such things.
You were picked as the integrity idol by the Accountability Lab, their own flag bearer in 2017, and what they saw is what everybody in Nigeria also saw. The figures your office was churning out, and the way you were taking them out, even when they are not popular with the government people. We have so many agencies, we have heads of agencies, we have young people in Nigeria who are looking at you and say, how is this man able to stand his ground? I mean, does he not fly around? Does he not like a big house? Does he not like good cars? I mean, to spend this money, how is he able to stand? We want you to talk to them. How are you able to get to this level where you tell yourself, look, I have to have this integrity, which everybody's talking about?
Well, first of all, I didn't win the integrity idol. I think I came second. I didn't protest the results or take it to court for a recount. Also, unless they did a recount and they didn't tell me about it, I don't think I won the integrity idol.
I think all of you who came at that level were all victors.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. I think, of course, I like a big house. It's comfortable house. Of course, I like nice things. I'm not everybody likes nice things, but I think it's about a table of preference, your priority. What is more important to you? I don't believe I have an ostentatious lifestyle. Anyway, I'm happy being comfortable. Everybody wants to be comfortable. So because of that, I think certain things are higher on my list of priorities. My friends call me a performance junkie. They feel I like to achieve and succeed, and that's the most important thing for me. Give me something to do. I have this drive. I want to. So anything else that contradicts that success, whatever it is, I'm just going to turn it down, because the most important thing to me is to succeed and
to get the result,
and to maintain my name, my reputation. So anything that could contradict that is not as important, and because of that, I can easily just say, you know what, I'll let this go, because this is what I'm most interested in. So I think that's the problem. If your priority is all you are thinking about is wealth, money, riches, hundreds of houses, your entire life will be devoted towards that's what you want to do. So again, if people focus on what is more important, for example, money was not the most important thing, never the important thing, never at any point of my career. When I was in London, I left a job that was paying me over 4 times more to come to Nigeria. Why? Because in London, I was just one of the analysts in the whole pile of analysts, over 200 people. And I got a job with what is now Stanbic IBTC, where they wanted to head the department. So it was even though I was going to get 4 times less, it was the responsibility that I was being given. I'll be a head of a department. I'll be able to drive the process, decide build it from scratch. That attracted me to the position, even though I was losing a huge chunk of money for doing it. So that's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, the money caught up with me anyway, because by the time you got the money, but the focus was more on the responsibility, on the assignment, what I wanted to achieve, and the money came second. Now, if the money came first, I probably would still be in London. So that's basically it. I think it's about what is your priority. You want to drive fancy cars, you want to maintain a good name, you want to be known as someone that, regardless of what responsibility is given, is an achiever. You want to be someone your children are proud of. It depends on what your priority is. If your priority is money, then money will drive every single decision you take. And if you have to break the rules to get that money, you break the rules to get that money. If your priority is to achieve and succeed, you also break the rules to ensure that you achieve. You work all night long just to ensure that you get what you want. So the focus is what are your priorities? What are you focused on? I have friends that complain and quarrel with me because they say I don't have time for them.
I actually wanted to ask you that now because as somebody who is heading the NBS, the National Bureau of Statistics, you have a herd of staff, you also employ. You have people who believe that it's our son, it's our brother, it's our schoolmate, it's our classmate, people all around. That's what normally happens in Nigeria. How have you been able to fight this personal battle that people will not even know?
Well, I'll go back to how you started this program, Do the Right Thing. I'm not the favorite among a larger number of my family members because they want certain things done and I just can't do it. Those that understand me to be extremely stubborn will laugh it off and say, okay, don't even waste your time talking to that guy, he's not going to answer you. Because they know me. My parents are not calling me, telling me to do anything that they didn't teach me to do in the first place anyway, so that even helps. I have always been surrounded by good mentors. My three main bosses I've ever had at Edo Peter's side, Sam Shudin Usman and current minister, have been extremely high on integrity and hard work. So, and I work directly there. So I've been surrounded, in addition to my parents, I've been surrounded with that mindset. So I'm not really getting lots of people. The people that I'm getting that are upset about not doing what they want are not people that are really close to me, are not really close friends of mine. They are not, because my close friends, my close family know I will not do it, so they don't bother to even ask. And when, in fact, many times my dad will say he got people calling him to talk to. He said he doesn't even tell me that this person doesn't want it. He mentions it like months after this person has been calling. He doesn't even ask him for my number. He doesn't even bother to give them because he knows he doesn't want them to disturb me.
Our listeners and those who want to reach us, that you can be part of the program. You can reach us at 090-2265-6167. 090-2265-6167. You can also send us WhatsApp messages there. If you have to call us and interact with Dr. Yemi Kale. He's at the head of the National Bureau of Statistics and he's the Statistician General of the Federation. A man who has won accolades in releasing very unfavorable figures to the states, to the federal government, and many people think he is not doing it the Nigerian way. And so he has gotten to be ambassador for so many young people who are looking at him, and the Accountability Lab picked him as one of those idols, those accountability integrity idols in 2017, and he has remained standing tall in Nigeria, so that it is not just the story of corruption we are talking about every day. We have people who are working very hard, resisting corruption, and he is our guest on the program today. Let us hear you. Let us know what we have got. We have somebody on the line. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I have a question for Mr. Yemi Kale. Sir, are you a PDP supporter? That's my question. Because when you release the last unemployment rate, when government say we can't buy you, a lot of people that support today's government, they say because Jonathan was the one who appointed you, a PDP supporter. I want you to clear on that. Let the supporter of APC know where you belong. God bless you, sir.
Okay, he's noting it down. He will ask that questions. Thank you so much for calling in. Hello.
My name is Samuel. Yes, I'm listening to your guest. You see, when you work for the right reason, nothing moves you, nothing shakes you. Our biggest challenge in this part of the world is that people go for jobs for the wrong reasons, So when they get into the job, they begin to do a whole lot of things for the wrong reasons. Now, I want to say thank you very much to your guest. You're a great role model. You have to live in that consciousness all the time. And know that one day, of course, history is already writing your name in the good books. And one day, like the Achebes are remembered, like the Okibos are remembered, your name will be written in gold and your name will be remembered. And your children will be proud that your father, did a great job for this country.
Okay, thank you very much.
Whatever you need to do to get right for this great nation, we require people like you. I was telling people yesterday, look, if you look back 1950, 1960, it looks like the people who were then are more intelligent and more hardworking than the present crop of a Nigerian. And you begin to wonder where we are headed to. God bless you and God bless you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And from our WhatsApp platform, we have somebody writing, and who is that? How Dr. Kale sleeps, because till 2 a.m. still tweeting on Twitter. How does he rest? Of course, he has a job and he has just got to do a job all around. But let's take the next phone call. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us. Go ahead.
Good news to Dr. Yemi Kale. Without saying anything, I was with some of the United Nations guys. One day they said, this Dr. Yemi Kale of Statistics is the man. Once they say something, they stand on his ground. Even the ministers and all these people will say, no, you say no. This is what I think. And people can check. If it is okay, fine. If it's not okay, I've said it. At the end, they will say, yes, this guy is too much. I know him very well, but I will not say where I know him. I'm telling Nigerians to hear this. This is the man, when he stood the ground, there was a time ministers, governors, they all came to the Ministry of Finance, they gathered around, they said, this man, he told the Minister of Finance, this is what I said. I'm not going to change anything. They run round, at the end. That is all.
Thank you very much.
I give kudos to you, because anything is behind you, or international organizations. What you are doing continues to be doing that. God is will always be at your back.
All right, thank you,
Bye-bye.
thank you so much. And Gideon Dugara writes on our platform, I think this man has been very transparent in carrying out his duty by releasing figures that really speak out of the situation on ground for the authorities to sit up. Keep it up, sir. Nice hearing. Okay, I don't want to take that. That's about me. But thank you for dropping that on our WhatsApp platform. Let's see if we have more calls. Let's take more calls. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the program. Go ahead and tell us your name, and please stay within 30 seconds.
Yes, my name is James. I'm calling you from Utek. I want to ask Dr. Yemi Kale, what is the coping mechanism? Because we have seen people who have shown that they have integrity. But as time goes by, the waiver, the change. So what has kept him consistent? Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. That is, he's noting the questions. He'll come back to you. That is about all we are taking on the phone, so that we can have time to ask him some of the questions. Let him quickly respond to the questions. The one that everybody will probably want to listen to is that you have been there. You were appointed by the Jonathan administration, and when you came up with some of these figures during the last 4 years, they say he's a PDP member. Of course, I know that you must have also heard that yourself. People must have said, look, that is why we always ask a man to appoint his own man instead of inheriting people. How do you respond to that question?
My straight answer is that I am a supporter of Nigeria and not any political party. Funny thing is that when the data we publish supports PDP, I'm a PDP supporter. When next week the data supports APC, I become an APC supporter. So I don't actually believe I'm not actually sure who I'm supporting, because my support, according to these people, changes every other week, depending on what the data says. For the record, I was appointed by the Jonathan era, but I was reappointed by Mr. President.
Okay, you had the opportunity to say it's not even appointed.
And to be fair on the president, at the time he reappointed me, that is when I said the country was in recession. That's when the data was extremely bad. So for the president to reappoint me despite all...
That was before the reappointment.
This was before in fact, it was 6 months before my reappointment that I was announcing we're in recession. Inflation went from 9 to 8. The data was extremely bad. But Mr. President reappointed me anyway. So I don't think my appointment or my work is dependent on any political party. And I think if you check the history of MBS data, there's been data that has supported the incumbent and not supported the incumbent. So data has been positive and negative depending on when it comes out. So there is no record that suggests all the data from MBS has been pro-government or anti-government. The data is published as it is.
Have you ever been a member of any political party?
No, I'm not a member of any
political party. So that will rest that one. You're not a member of any political party.
I'm not a member of any political party. Never.
So that they don't say you were a member of PDP before now, that the APC, you are now in APC.
I've never been a member of any political party. I don't think it is advisable on this job anyway. I might support a political party personally, but as statistician general, I support nobody apart from the work.
Because at the end of the day, you have a right to vote.
Yes, and I have my personal views and my professional views are completely different, and they don't matter.
Now, the second question is where the guy asked, and he chose his words. How are you able to get the steam, the energy to resist?
I remember when I started this job about 7.5 years ago, I called my core team and I told them, look, the only way this job can be done properly is if I'm prepared to lose it. And if I'm not prepared to lose it, I should better just write my resignation letter now. But I will not stay on the job just to stay for how many years and go. I have to do the work properly. And from what I see, the only way I can do this job is if I lose it. And that mindset, that is, I can lose this job anytime, and I'm prepared to lose the job anytime as long as I believe I'm doing the right thing and I'm okay with it, peaceful. I won't even take anybody to court. Happy to leave the job if the reason I'm leaving the job is for doing the right thing. If the reason I'm leaving the job is for incompetence, then I have a problem with that. But I'm ready to leave the job for standing on my values and doing what I think is right. And that mindset has always stayed with me. So it helps me in those difficult situations. At the end of the day, it's just a job. But it is important to me that my name, my reputation, and this data that is extreme, and I believe in data. Data is extremely important. You cannot solve any problem. We are wasting our time if you don't understand what the problem is. And that's what data tells you. Whether it's unemployment, whether it's poverty. Look, the problems we have in the Northeast, the data revealed them years ago. The Northeast states having the worst socioeconomic numbers for years. We saw this problem, we saw the data, but we probably just ignored it until these problems started. If you ignore data, you can ignore it, you can pretend it's not existing, but it eventually would come and manifest. So I think understanding that I want my country to attain its potential, understanding that any attempt to deceive the policymakers to solve the problem would just be hitting my country that I live in, that my children will live in negatively, is not something I want to do. And I'm also very worried about disappointing my family and friends that have so much confidence in me. So I think that's what I focus on when I go through these trials on a daily basis. That keeps me focused.
All right. Let's just take, before we come to the reactions to our previous episodes, and Adaobi will be telling us who has been reaching us. I think we have 2 or 3 mails. But let me just quickly take this from Alex Mega, and he has a question for Dr. Yemi Kale. So what was the yardstick for the NBS use in knowing that Nigeria was out of recession? Because if you look at the entire country, poverty looms. It does appear that the feeling that the recession has ended doesn't appear on the lives of people in the market. There's still poverty, there's still unemployment, there's a lot of problem. How did we exit recession? That's what that person is asking.
I've had to answer this repeatedly on social media and in the public, in the press. The definition of recession is focused largely on negative gross domestic product and nothing else. It's not tied directly to unemployment. It's not tied directly to poverty. It doesn't really care whether somebody is eating today or not. It's focusing on gross domestic product. Okay. And the definition of recession says that if your gross domestic product is negative for 2 consecutive quarters, then you're in recession. Yeah. And when you come out of recession, once the negative becomes positive, even if the positive is 0.0000001%, as long as it's positive, you're out of recession.
All right.
When people understand that,
they will understand
that the growth rate is still negative but positive, then they will understand that it's not strong enough for it to reflect as widely as possible. And that's why some people are not feeling it, because yes, it's positive, but the positive is still very small. And when it's small, it means only a very few people are benefiting from that positive growth. It's not the entire country, and it's a gradual process. That's why people are not feeling. But the technical definition of recession used everywhere in the world is positive growth following negative growth, and then you come out of recession when you have positive growth.
All right, let's go to our mailbox. We always encourage you to write to us through info at info@primorg.org, info@primorg.org. And PRIMORG is PRIMORG. We have heard people ask us what is the spelling of PRIMORG so that you can get to us quickly. PRIMORG is PRIMORG, info@primorg.org. And you can also drop information for us on our WhatsApp phone line 0902261616567. You can drop the message for us and we'll take it up. And if you also follow us on our YouTube or on our Facebook page, you can also drop a message for us. And that will be who has been talking to us.
Our first mail is from Yahaya Wada in Abuja, and he says, I think some people may be getting it wrong by the outright condemnation of the N-Power program. The fact that one of two bad eggs are detected does not make it all bad. My observation so far has shown that N-Power is one of the best social intervention programs in the history of Nigeria. God bless Nigeria. Our second mail is from Austin Edobo, who wrote in from Toronto, Canada, and he says, I'm looking forward to a positive attitude in Nigeria. If corruption is not completely eradicated, at least let there be sanity in our society. Many thanks for your mails. Keep them coming through info@primorg.org or call 0902-265-6167.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Adaobi. And as we prepare to wrap up on the program, I want to ask our guest in the studio, Dr. Yemi Kale. He is the Statistician General of the Federation. He heads the NBS, an organization that he has worked on in the last 7 years, and he has raised the tempo to a level where everybody believes that, look, don't just disturb that man, he's doing his job. Even those who appointed him agree that he's doing his job. And when it is negative, he releases it. He gets strong test messages, threat messages on his phone, and he gets phone calls, he gets subtle invitations to some round table. I have not asked him, have you been invited at any time to a party? Come on, let us go for dinner. Let's have, because we had that recently from one of the election, the resident electoral commissioner who said, look, they invited him to a dinner and he said he's not going, and he came under fire. Have you been subtly invited? Have you attended any dinner? That a minister asking you, come, let's talk, let's have dinner, to be able to tell you that, look, this government is, it is important, or a state governor telling you, can you visit us, come to our state and see come and see it. It is not just staying in Abuja and reading our figures.
Well, first of all, we don't just stay in Abuja and read our figures. We have 36 offices in all the states with our staff there who actually go and collect data. So it's not, people don't even know that they say we sit in Abuja. Abuja actually is not the one that does the work. The work is done by a field worker, over 2,000 all over the state. I've not been invited. I'm not particularly exciting a dinner guest in the first place. So unless you want an extremely boring dinner talking about data, you'll have a horrible dinner. So I don't think anybody wants to invite me to dinner in the first place. But yes, on 1 or 2 occasions, I've been invited to dinner, not to come and tamper with data. There was a particular governor, former governor, that we released some poverty numbers. He wasn't very happy with the numbers, and he was perceived as one of the, I'm not going to mention his name, but perceived as one of the hardworking governors. So he didn't understand, what do you mean by my poverty numbers?
You don't want to mention the state?
No, I think it's better I don't.
You can mention the state, don't mention the name, because you are talking for 5 years
before they call me PDP or APC again, let me be careful. So he invited me to his state, not to tell me to change the numbers, but because he didn't believe the numbers. He's working very hard, he's doing all these things. What are we talking about? Yeah.
He wanted to get
he showed me the hard work that he had been doing. So he showed me all the new roads.
You actually went?
I went, yes.
Yeah.
I am open to question marks being raised about the data, yes. And if at any point you can prove that we made an error, we'll be happily correct the number, because the objective is not for us to be right, but for the numbers to be right. So if we don't believe, that's not a logical defense. But if you show actual evidence that these numbers are not correct, we would change it and admit it and apologize, because the objective is the data is correct. So it caused the state showed me roads. The theory of opening roads for the poor to come to markets and so on is very sound, we understand. So he showed me several roads, actually quite good roads, done well. I said, look at all this, what do you mean our poverty numbers are getting worse? I now took the poverty map of his state to show where the poverty were concentrated and placed it against the roads it opened. I showed him that the places where you opened the roads were not where the majority of your poor were. So the impact on poverty, all these wonderful roads,
will not be visible.
Were not visible. You opened your road. So before you had started this opening of road, you should
have done the map
and check where the problem is. And that's what data tells you. When he saw that ended the fight. But it wasn't to, and I think he still offered me dinner after that anyway. But yes, at
least he got an understanding.
He understood it. I've had ministers call to say initially very upset. They believe they are done very well and so on. And you show them, look, this is the reality. This is why your assumptions are incorrect, because you did not look at the right things, you did not count the right things, you did not take the right approach. And that is why this wonderful policy on paper did not work, because it wasn't targeting the right people, and because you didn't understand how the data was being collected. And usually they back down when they are confronted with the facts.
Of course, Dr. Yemi Kale, I want to thank you so much for coming on the program. We cannot really, I wish we can stretch beyond this to take more of the questions. We have plenty of WhatsApp messages. Let's just quickly take them. I begin from the top. Caleb from Lugbe said, good morning. Some of us need data for research purposes. How do we assess your data? And then we have Dr. Kale, how do you manage pressure from top government officials when data is not favorable? He has answered that question already. That is from Asiwaju. And I think that's about all. Yemi, God bless you for doing the right thing. Afam also writing. I think that he has practically answered all the questions you have. Particularly he says some of us need data for research purposes. How do they assess your data? Is your website not open? Our
website is open. Most of our data is on our website. I have to also caution that not all the data we have is on our website. I think only about 30% of the data.
So how do they assess those that are not there?
We have on the website, it is a link that you can use to request some particular data that you cannot find on the website. But the first thing is check on the website. And I have to also admit that not all the data that's one of the problems, that even though we believe we have improved the statistical system the last few years, we still a lot of work to do. We're not going to say that now Nigeria statistical.
So it's not all the data that you are releasing.
So it's not all the data we are releasing. It's not all the data.
Why are you keeping some of the data?
I don't think it's possible to put just one report. We collect thousands and thousands. If we are going to release it, and any particular report, it's going to be voluminous.
So voluminous.
And sometimes the target of the objective of the data collection is, for example, when you want to go and get data on say unemployment, for example, you still get a lot of other information about the status of the. So you're not going to put all that. You only put the unemployment because that's the focus. But along the unemployed, somebody might want to know.
But those who want to have the details can still get those. You can
just ask for the data, and then
Is it easy to just get the link and get the data? Are there processes to be followed?
No, all the data on our website. You just go to our website. They are easily accessible to anybody that wants it. If you don't find what you want, you can reach out to me down my Twitter handle or the MBS.
Somebody said you don't sleep just now. All right, Dr. Yemi Kale, we want to appreciate you for coming on the program and to the benefit of society, benefit of promoting the anti-corruption values that we believe on and cherish. And our sponsors on this program, the Makato Foundation, believes that we should not just talk about corruption, but we should also get to those who are doing very well and put them on the program. And we are glad that Dr. Yemi Kale, at the head of the NBS, the National Bureau of Statistics, is our guest today to break the divide, go to the flip side of the corruption talk and begin to talk about Nigerians who can indeed be good. And we are very, very optimistic that this will be an inspiration to our viewers and our listeners. Those who want to do their job, they should do it very, very well and not have any problem. And we want to also say that you should try and say no, just as Dr. Kale is saying. When corruption knocks on your door, it is still good to be good. And we want to ask you to be good all the time. Thank you so much, Dr. Yemi Kale, for coming on the program. You have a last say.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
You can give us a last from all that we have said. Just give us a recap.
Well, I will end it again with how you started. I love that phrase, do the right thing. I think that's the most important thing. I always say that if we do the right things at the right time and for the right reasons, our country will be a very great nation. Thank you very much for inviting me once again.
Thank you so much. Adaobi Obeyabumo has been my co-pilot on this program. Adaobi.
Do the right thing, Nigerians.
If you have somebody out there who is fighting corruption, somebody who is standing up outright fighting corruption, please let us have him. Send the message to us. We will track him, and our partners at the Accountability Lab are very, very interested in these individuals. We can actually follow up, do our investigation, and get them up for attention. We are not all bad, and we can indeed be good. I'm Okiri Agbonsuremi. Stay out of corruption.